It is the Boneyard Podcast. Matt Mosley here with Coach Lonnie Jordan. And we're on the road. A road show at Taco Joint. I cannot believe this is one of your first trips to the Taco Joint. Good to be out in the community. And we appreciate people who support the Wildcats. And Taco Joint has, it is now playoff time in Texas high school football. And South Grand Prairie looms. We'll look back a little bit at the Irving game. Did it go about, perfectly for you as far as, I was watching you work the refs over. I went back and there were a couple of calls you didn't like. One was a PI, I think, but there was another one you were really were you just kind of staying in form, making sure you were ready for the playoffs with all that? I've just never, you were on the field a little bit, I enjoyed seeing the spirit.
Well, so, things did go as planned, and our kids, I thought, played really well. We came out, we got on top of them, we executed really well at the beginning of the game, but there were some things, regardless of if the game is out of hand or we're winning or losing it, you still want the game to be called fairly, and part of that is just communication. You want for the officials to communicate with you, and there was a call or two in there that I was having a hard time getting the official to relay to me what was going on. So anyway, I had to call a timeout and go out there and talk to the head guy and have him kind of tell me what it was they were throwing flags on us for.
Yeah, I think that's good. And I'm used to kind of having live audiences. We just had some junior hires, I believe, get up and leave us a little bit. I'm used to that as well. They've changed the station on us, and that's okay. Now, and by the way, we've got some of your assistants with us tonight who happen to be friends of mine, so that's kind of exciting. And you'll hear some orders going out.
Rod needs to pick his tacos
Rod's
up.
got a bacon, egg, and cheese taco waiting for him, I'm sure. Just the way that things unfolded, 35-0 at halftime. You got to play the starters a little bit into the third quarter, but in terms of how things were operating, and let's start with the offense. What did you think the overall? I thought early with some of the throws to Shamar, you had two, pretty long chunk plays on that first series, and you got to look at a little bit at your running back Bird a little bit on that first series as well.
Yep, and Bird's done a great job for us. We were able to catch Shamar on a couple of plays. He had I think it was a 45 or 50 yard touchdown pass down the sideline. He had a little post route over the middle where he caught one and took it in. And so, Shamar's doing the things that he's been doing for us all year. But Caden Bird's been, he's a wrestler. And I'm not sure what his first sport is, but he's a really good wrestler. And it's turning out that he's going to be a pretty good football player too. And he works hard, loves the weight room. So we're really pleased with Caden. Come to find out, and I don't think we knew this, but he's got really good vision. He keeps his shoulders square, moves feet well. He's kind of getting that little jump cut thing down, and then he's a thick kid, so he's hard to bring down. So but offensively, I thought that we were. I thought Corey Campbell called a great game and had a great game plan in place. And then our kids went out and executed it really well. So to be up 35-0 at half, the great thing about that is it was senior night. It's the last home game that our kids, this group, will play. And for a senior, it's the last time they'll ever be on the Boneyard. And so when you're up 35-0 at halftime, it allows you in the second half to get a lot of kids that might not normally get in the game, get out there and play meaningful snaps and have an opportunity to really, have a Friday night experience. And so I think it was good on all sides.
All right, we don't have to, just because Corey's sitting in our studio audience tonight, you don't have to compliment him, unless you just feel like it, but it'll be good to maybe get to visit with him in a minute. There were a lot of good things. There were a lot of good drives early on. Deontay comes in, and we've talked about him all season, but again, that was a reminder because it was good. You kind of bludgeoned him a little bit with Bird and hit some plays to Shamar, and then Deontay just immediately comes in with some big plays, and you could just tell it kind of stunned the Irving defense a little bit. You mentioned Bird's vision, that's improving. Is that one of Deontay's best traits, the thing, the way he kind of sets things up and is patient. I mean, obviously he came out and looked really good on that second drive.
Yeah. So I think his first carry, so the first play from scrimmage for him went 50 or 55 yards. And it is. He's able to see a crease and then accelerate through it. So I think vision is one of his big things. He moves laterally real well. And so when he gets up in there, he can accelerate sideways. And part of that is setting people up. But he's got a great knack for running the football, and we think that he's going to be an incredible he's done a great job. I think he's got 1,300 or 1,400 yards rushing this year. He had 150 the other night in one half. And so, but he's got another year with us, and we still have a playoff run. So the things that Deontay still has left to do, I mean, it's pretty exciting.
Yeah, I would say so. By the way, this is exciting too. You've now gone to the playoffs all 8 seasons at Lake Highlands High School. Glenn Gant, our podcast historian, the Boneyard podcast historian, looks up this each week. We've got some things on South Grand Prairie later. All 9 seasons as a head coach, you've been to the playoffs, Coach Jordan. And then this is a 32nd trip to the postseason for the Wildcats. 32 times. So that's pretty good. Pretty good history over the years.
That's a big deal.
Yeah.
That's a big deal. When you look at programs across the Metroplex or across the state of Texas for that matter, in high school football, it's hard to get to the playoffs. Now, whenever it was, they went to 4 teams, so it got a little bit easier. Back when I played, only 2 teams went, and I think, before that, you only had 1 representative from each district.
Yeah.
But now there's 4 teams that go, and it's still very hard, and especially in the Metroplex. We're in Region 1. We're playing with some, we're playing against some great people, and we're playing against programs that have college football players, and so it's it's not an easy thing to do. And when you look at a program like Lake Highlands that has done it 32 times, and I appreciate Glenn looking up my record, but that's I've benefited from coaches, and I've benefited from having really good kids, and I'm very fortunate to have been able to do that every year.
All right, we're fortunate tonight to have both your offensive coordinator and your defensive coordinator as you're doling out all this credit, really deflecting all the credit I'm trying to give you. Glenn's done all this research. Corey Campbell, the offensive coordinator for Lake Highlands, joining us now. Corey, how many years is this for you now?
12.
Wow.
12 years. I came to Lake Highlands in 2010.
Okay, 2010. Man,
yes, sir.
12 years, and and boy, these last 3 or 4 where y'all barely lost any games. I mean, this is really you've had some great seasons, but does this feel like the most successful era of the time you've been here?
Oh, sure. I think anytime you can be successful like we've been, it's a credit to having good players. At any level of football, college, NFL, whatever, you need good players, and the community in Lake Highlands really supports football. Mm-hmm. And we were out at the junior high game the other night, the 8th grade game, and it was an awesome junior high football game. And those kids are the pipeline of the future and what's to come at Lake Highlands. And players make plays, players help win, and that's where we're at. And that's a credit to our players.
Some of the other research, Forest Meadows 8th graders won 24-12. I saw one of those passes. I mean, that was a really, that was a really interesting, right? I mean, you have to want to stay here, don't you, when you see some of these like 8th grade quarterbacks throwing some of those passes?
Very much so. I mean, at the end of the day, we had a little staff meeting the morning after, and it was just a lot of kids that jumped off the page, and that's exciting. Now we get to put both of those groups, Lake Highlands Junior High and Forest Meadow, together next year as freshmen, and it continues to build the success that we're having right now.
All right, so the 8th graders won 24-12, and the 7th grade Chargers won 24-22. I feel like our historian maybe has some kids over at Forest Meadow. This seems to be pretty Forest Meadow heavy, but that's pretty good. This year getting to watch Tripp come in, and you've had senior quarterbacks. You had Mitch, who played for 3 years, started for you. It's been fun to watch the maturation process of Tripp, and Did you know? I've asked Lonnie this. Were you a little surprised even early on of how well he could run? I mean, he's a bigger. Obviously, he's got a great arm and got good arm talent. But he really became a threat pretty early in the season in the run game.
Yeah, I think as a coach, you feel like but until they get out there and do it, you always have that little hesitation in your mind. And Tripp got his number called a few times this year, and he produced. He's made a million strides since last season, and he's come a long way, and he's gotten better and better and better every week, and that enables us to put more on his shoulders. Whether he's reading more, putting us in the right plays, doing stuff like that, he's giving us that confidence in him, and it's a credit to him and the work that he's put in.
All right, and how does it work with you and Lonnie? You're both offensive-minded guys. Did it take a while for y'all to kind of get on the same page? You obviously have different ways, maybe, or different thoughts on different things. How did it come together really quickly with the way you guys work with each other?
Yeah, it's a funny story. When Coach Jordan got the job, we met immediately, and we did a lot of the same things. We had a lot of the same philosophies, and we kind of put our philosophies together and said, this is kind of who we're going to be. In high school football, you don't get to say, well, I'm just the 5-wide spread guy, or I'm a 2-back gun guy, or whatever. You kind of, every year, you have to mold it to the athletes in which you have. And we kind of had that same background, and so it was really an easy transition. And it's helped us along the way.
All right, and then for this week's game, South Grand Prairie. I mean, the good thing, I guess, and the bad thing. I mean, it just y'all keep running into them.
Sure.
Had success. Had one time a couple years ago it didn't go your way. As you kind of look at their defense and you're putting together your game plan and everything, what kind of stands out about what they're doing this year, and how much is it holding up? I remember one of their coaches a couple years ago was maybe from Oklahoma. He'd been around for quite a while. I don't know if they've changed a little bit over the last couple of years, or what are you seeing?
Yeah, Bert Whitson was the coach a couple of years ago, and he was the guy you were referring to from Oklahoma. And they do have a new coach. The thing that hasn't changed about South Grand Prairie, and Coach Vasquez would probably tell you this about their offense as well, they're just extremely athletic everywhere. Even from the defensive linemen to the corners to the linebackers, everywhere. You just got a really extremely athletic group, and it's going to be a challenge for us. We're looking forward to it, but it's definitely going to be a good football team, a good opponent, a good challenge for us Friday night.
Yeah, I mean, the good news is, though, coming from some of the turnovers early in the season, things have kind of settled down, and I'm sure as a coach sometimes you think, man, if we were playing, back then like we're playing now, but the good news is it's kind of everybody starts with a fresh slate.
Sure, and no doubt. That's what the playoffs are about. I think early on, we graduated a lot, and we tried to get away from that conversation as soon as possible, but as coaches, when we talk, we understand that we were young. And now those guys have got 8, 9, 10 ball games under their belt, and they're not young anymore. We don't have those conversations, and so I think it's just a credit to our guys on offense that have kind of grown up this year, and it's kind of shown in that balance that you're talking about as the season's progressed.
All right, and Coach Jordan, is there anything when you talk to Corey, you guys are communicating on the headset, or have you all found just a really good rhythm, or have you known each other so long now? Can you get after each other a little bit? Like, what's that back and forth like?
I don't think we do a whole lot of that. We really do work well together, and it is a blessing. And he said it. We came together and we talked, and he didn't really know me, and I didn't know him very well. And for us to try to figure out, because when I got the job, it was pretty late. It was in spring, and we were about to have spring football, so we had to get some things in place pretty quick. And it was one of those things that just I don't think it could have worked out better than it did. And I trust Corey with he does such a great job of getting into a rhythm on Friday night. And the last thing that I want to do is get in the way of that. So I get to suggest things every once in a while, and I get to make some fourth down calls and some things like that. But I trust Corey, and he has done just a phenomenal job with it. So we don't. I think we get along really well. I think the offensive staff as a group kind of understands what what we are, and again, Coach Campbell does a super job of calling the games on Fridays.
It's the defensive staff that's very volatile.
It is
not always, it's easy to get along with, and that kind of thing.
That's what the officials would say.
Let's not get into that.
Oh, okay.
We'll bring that up. We'll edit that out. By the way, on fourth downs, I noticed college coaches, especially lately, are like using these analytic services, and it's like, what are we supposed to do now? What does the book say? And like even the Baylor coach, who I pay a lot of attention to, goes for it more than anybody in the country. Has that hit Corey, the high school level, and in terms of you have more? Is that a push and pull between you? Is he wanting to go for every fourth down?
No, I think it's a great question. I think the analytics part of the sports game in general, whether you're talking about baseball or football or whatever it is, I hear people talking about you kind of got to be all in, or you don't. You can't dabble in that game because, again, in the circumstances that we deal with, you have to know your personnel. You have to know our defense is really good. And so that's something you have to take into it, And so I wouldn't say we're a big, we don't play those numbers games too much. We're more of a, this is how we feel in this circumstance. Mm-hmm. And like I said, a lot of that on our decisions is about our defense. And credit to our defense. They do a really good job, and having those guys back there helps us make some of those decisions.
Well, listen, it was fun having you on. I appreciate the Boneyard podcast. I mean, your debut.
I appreciate you guys having me.
Yeah, thank you. And then we'll have to do a set change here, but I appreciate it. Yes, that was fun. And Anthony Pascuzzi, as he's making his way over here, and I would say that that the other night, Andre Johnson, we brought him up. Jalen's been brought up a whole lot. Andre. Goodness, we've already got an Apple Watch issue with Pascuzzi. Yeah. Andre had one play that he came from the backside, and I thought, my gosh. I mean, just the recognition and the quickness. That play and kind of watching that, it's hard to like dial in on certain plays in a 42-0 game, but that one really was, it's impressive. And I also like that Andre is willing to always be like the prop guy at those pep rallies. Like somehow he's the guy getting involved with the what do we call them? The bellboys?
Yeah, the bellboys.
Yeah.
They like picking on Andre. They bring him out there. He's a good sport.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think they bowled with him this week.
And bowling with Andre. Yeah. That was. I'm always afraid the football guys are going to be a little too rough with those bellboys. They're a little scrawny. Although one of them's on the varsity basketball team, I think maybe Warren is. But tell me, we talked about Corey's relationship with you. Anthony's come up, and I saw it happen. I mean, we've had some great times on the golf course together. He was your D-line coach, and then he rose up the ranks and became your defense coordinator. Like, what was he like? With some things he hasn't changed a whole lot, but what was he like kind of when you first got around him to now?
Well, and Coach Pascuzzi, guys, and if you haven't met him, if you haven't heard Coach Pascuzzi tell a story, then you're missing out. He's somebody that keeps the office alive. I remember, I remember our interview. He came up, boy, he was dressed up, had his jacket on, but you could tell there was something a little different about this guy. I mean, just a load of personality, a lot of fun. Keeps the office. Our office is probably maybe the most fun place to be in 75238. I mean, it is it's a bunch of guys that gets along together, and I think Paz helps lead that, and but from a defensive standpoint, he came in. He came from Galena Park down in Houston. He had ties. Of course, he went to Berkner. He's another Berkner grad, just like Frito. So he was a Berkner grad. Worked over there. Went with Dave Handel down to Galena Park, who's a great, football coach and a Lake Highlands graduate. So he worked with him down there, and then came back up to the Metroplex and was looking to break back into it up here. And we had a defensive line position, hired him, and you could tell immediately that he was a good football coach. But more than that, and I think anybody would tell you, Coach Pascuzzi loves kids, and kids love him. And that is such a unique gift for a coach to have. Not everybody has it, but he is, again, high energy, intense, but the kids just feed off of it. And I really believe that our entire defensive group will run through the ball from. And so when we had the opportunity to move him up to be defensive coordinator, I had no I had no reservations about it, and he has taken it just to an absolutely new level. So we're proud of Anthony and Coach Pascuzzi, and I'm certainly blessed that he's part of our staff.
Well, I've watched you coach them up, and they must love you to let you coach them like that. And I'm sure you build them back up and all that kind of thing. This season, though, has been unique. This defense, early on, the defense was causing all kinds of turnovers and kind of allowed the offense to grow up a little bit. How's that been? Like this kind of leading the team? I know there's been ups and downs this season, but I mean, has this been a pretty rewarding season?
For sure, and we knew early on we had a lot of guys coming back, and we were going to kind of hold the torch while the offense was filling holes and getting things going. Coach Campbell does a phenomenal job, and we're going to be doing the same thing next year defensively. We're losing 9 on defense after this season, so we knew we're senior laden and we got a lot of returners, and we're going to keep us in all the games, and the offense is going to continue to grow and get better and do what they need to do, which they've done. And now we're kind of a complete team, getting hot where we need to.
Yeah, very complimentary football. Y'all had some great returns. Special teams is good. I want to give you a chance to talk about some of these players. There's one player, even in a game y'all didn't love, the Highland Park game, I just happened to see, and these kids all have highlight tapes and all. It was your nose tackle, 90. It's just interesting. There's individual type things in a game. If you peek in there and it's like, oh wait, he's knocking the guard and the center off the ball like crazy. Jalen has been someone we talk about just constantly, and he can kind of play both ways.
Probably not even enough, to be honest. The fact that he plays both ways with his hands in the ground nowadays, to me, is unbelievable. I mean, he's a phenomenal D-end, and he's high energy, and he plays in the fourth quarter like he does in the first quarter. And then he flips around when the defense goes and makes adjustments and gets water and puts on the bench. And he goes over and plays tackle. What he's done for me, honestly, this year is phenomenal. Like the fact that he hasn't come off the field and plays both ways. But Corey said it best. I mean, it's a player's game. We make the call and they go ball, right?
Yeah.
Like our job is to teach them fundamentals and make them run to the ball and hold them accountable and kind of get them better as the year goes. But if you don't have good players, you're not going to play good defense, good offense, and win a lot of games. I mean, it's a player's game, and we're blessed to have a lot of talent.
You should go to like Duncanville or something, and you see all these D1, and they're like 6'3", 240. What's kind of fun about your defense, you've got a few thumpers, but you got smaller guys who make big plays. I mean, I don't even know how you recognize. I guess from time in 8th or 9th grade, even when a guy's pretty small, do you just see them hit and see their competitiveness?
For us, we're the days of like big fat guys that sit in the gap and just eat up the gap and go. We want 11 guys that can run to the ball and defend the field sideline to sideline. And nowadays with RPOs and the spread game and up tempo and quick game, you have to be able to fly around and tackle in space. And I think for us, we're looking for guys that can run that are aggressive. I think the awesome thing about high school football is, we were talking the other day, John Williams, a guy that rotates with Tate and plays some D-line. We have John Williams at D-line, Lucas Shaw at linebacker, and Chung Lin at corner that are literally all pretty much the same size.
Yeah.
But that is high school football to a T. You do it the right way and you coach what comes through your front door. And you don't have the 6'5" D-ends and the 240 linebackers. You have what you have, but I think that's what's awesome about it. And to answer your question, just athletic, fast, aggressive kids is really what we're looking for.
I mean, do you feel like you could let Shamar focus on offense, though? Do you really have to have him?
If you want to go back and watch it, he hasn't
Yeah.
played a ton of defense for us. I mean, Myron and Chung have played the majority of corner. We have used Shamar a little bit, but I mean, he doesn't really come off the field for Coach Campbell, so we kind of rotate him in there at corner.
Yeah. Well, you've got some guys that play really well back there, and it's been amazing. Whether it be Carson or who's your baseball player?
Wesley
like Wesley.
Scott has been, he's got a godsend for us coming in and playing safety the entire year.
Yeah, I think
done
you
a great
have
job.
like the starting baseball team basically, on your defense. But it
Translating
is,
to good football.
is this takeaways thing and all these interceptions this year? I mean, I have to be closing in on, was it a school record? Did we look this up? I mean, you get Glenn Gant to look
I
into
don't know
that.
if we've looked
Do
it up,
we-
but it's a bunch for sure.
Yeah, I mean, is that just kind of things that kind of get contagious? How much of that is?
I think that things get contagious, but I think you get rewarded for having good coverage. And those, if you're in the place you're supposed to be and the ball's in the air, I mean, it's just as much yours as the receivers. And with Klein and Wesley Scott in our corners, we've got some guys that can go up and get it. And again, if they beat, it's not going to be good, but they're in the right spot and they jump up and they high point it and make a play, and then it is contagious. I think when they come in bunches. Kids start feeding off that, and the ball starts kind of bouncing your way.
Do you think these guys that are wranglers, does that help their on-field? I mean,
I can't speak to that. I don't know. I mean, I guess it builds their shoulders up. They have good shoulder strength. They tackle well.
Did y'all not have that at Berkner?
We did have the Ramblers, but I actually got cut. I have a dark spot. I don't remember to go back there, but I guess we'll relive it. I got cut. Yeah.
Oh man, I'm
It's the
sorry.
best I could.
Sorry to bring that up. A tough
It's okay.
subject.
It's part for the best.
Well, it's funny. Dave Handel's name came out. He's an old friend of mine. He
Yeah.
graduated with my wife
Yeah,
from Lake Highlands. Was known for playing through the whistle. I
believe that.
Yeah.
He was a smaller, aggressive guy. I bet the whistle didn't mean much to him.
Yeah.
He's probably pretty much the same way now.
Yeah. So anyway, very aggressive. Anybody like on your defense? We'll do the unsung award winner or anything. Is there anybody you've been wanting to brag on, or maybe somebody that doesn't get enough attention, or are you scared to do this because the other kids will get mad? If you
Yeah,
single
I
somebody out?
love them all. I think one thing honestly we really pride ourselves on is we run the ball and we play with phenomenal effort. I would challenge you to go find lazy reps for us, and I really mean that. We'll break down the offense, and you're watching all the other districts' defense and who they played. It's common for kids to jog or to take plays. I really am proud of how hard we play and how we run to the ball and all 11 and the reserves that come in. So I can't point out one guy. And like Corey said, we're blessed. I mean, there's not a lot of holes, I don't believe, and our D-line is fast and athletic, and they're all returning. Our linebackers are, again, aggressive and sound in their assignments, and they make play in space. And then our back end, the defense we run with our 3-4, it's kind of a 7-man box, and it puts a lot of stress on those corners and safeties to not always play action and RPOs, to have a lot of help, and you're kind of on an island. And we've got great cover guys, and Carson Klein is our we call him the Cowboy safety, but he's basically our 8th run defender, and he's an athletic linebacker pretty much. And they all play their roles and buy into team defense, and I'm proud of how hard they play.
And what about South Grand Prairie? We're talking to Corey about their defense. What about their offense? I know they've got an incredible running back, and what really stands out when you're preparing for them?
What he says the same. They're really athletic. I mean, their running back is going to Colorado, and he's got some Power 5 offers, and he's one of the top 3 rushers in all of DFW. He's really explosive. He's a physical runner, and he can take it to the house anytime. They have a receiver, number 10, that's probably one of the best receivers we've seen all year. He's explosive, runs good routes, he can high point the ball, he's a big guy, he can go to the house, and their quarterback is a phenomenal runner, he's explosive, and he throws it better than you would think, and he gets out of the pocket with bootlegs and sprint outs and scrambles. And, they're probably, next to Highland Park, the most just complete explosive offense we'll see all year. So excited for it. Our run defense has been great all year, and I think we're going to do everything we can to shut that back down, and then play great pass defense and get off the field on 3rd down. It's going to be a good test.
Well, it was great to have you on.
Thank you.
And congratulations on your Unsung Award
I appreciate
win a few weeks ago.
Yeah, I've been getting a lot of JT, the previous winner, and been getting a lot of love for that. And I do tons of laundry, and I do everything I'm asked and some, to be honest with you. So the fact that I'm getting hammered for, just saying I went 3 weeks, or Coach Campbell hasn't gone 3 weeks in a row.
Is that right?
I'm just going to throw it out there. I went last week, and he's pretty much
He's got more tenure.
He does have more tenure, but it's an exclusive club to be in. Very excited, very proud to be in. And Wildcat Nation, if you have ever played a round of golf with this guy, you need to. You're in for it. It was one of the Wildcat Classic. We got paired. It was one of the best round of golfs I ever played. It was very fun.
So much so that he's not been paired with me again. So it was fun.
It was a blast. I enjoyed it.
Focus more on your golf swing. You can hit it a mile. Yeah.
Oh, man.
Well, that was fun. Thank
enjoyed
you.
it. Thank you.
For that. Both assistant coaches. I mean, that's kind of exciting tonight. Had the volleyball coach on.
She's great.
Last week.
Awesome.
Karen was great, and then boy, I jumped on that bandwagon. And,
Yeah, she should.
They scared Prosper the other night.
Yep.
Friday night, big crowd out there, Plano Senior High, and the Prosper girls were stunned, and that's like the fourth best team in the state or something. So excited about that. Okay, let's do the unsung. We brought it up, the unsung award.
I'm gonna
winner.
hop off. I'm gonna let you guys.
Oh yeah, you can do anything you want. I'm not.
Here,
Yeah. There may be something you need over there.
Thank you, Coach
Anthony
Pascuzzi.
Pascuzzi joining us, the defensive coordinator for the Wildcats. All right,
Okay.
do we have some.
So unsung heroes.
I like all
do
these
have.
guests. We got
this
some
is
more
fun.
people want to come
This
on.
is fun.
Yeah.
So we've got several unsung heroes this week. I'm gonna
nice.
go through them here
Okay.
pretty quick, but I want to start with a young man. His name is Gage Dunn. What a great name, by the way. That's a kind of football name.
Very cool.
Gage Dunn, and Gage's folks help us with his mom and dad help us. They help feed our kids. She kind of organizes our meals on game day and things like that. So they're great. It's a great family. But Gage is a neat kid. He's really into fishing and hunting and all things outdoors. They've got they've got some land. I guess they have a ranch out in Longview somewhere. And so Gage is on our Lake Highlands High School fishing team. Man, that's a big deal to him. He's good. I mean, he's really good at it. They go out and they scout these lakes, man, and they go fish in these tournaments. And so that's a big deal to Gage. He likes to hunt as well. He's a member of Young Life. One of the really cool things. We probably have some kids in here working a taco joint. That's their part-time job. Well, Gage's part-time job is chopping firewood, and then he loads it up in his truck and he takes it to people who need firewood. So really kind of a cool deal. He goes and gets it out, and either he told me he had to go to Vernon and pick up some firewood, or he gets it out in Longview.
Oh, wow.
But he chops it, and he's got these big trailers, and he brings it back. He's got a whole bunch of it at the house right now. So I thought that was a pretty neat part-time
Very
job.
cool, yeah.
And Gage does a great job for us, shows up all the time. Same theme with these unsung heroes. They're great teammates, they're good kids, they're coachable, they're fun to be around. Another one I want to bring up is Will Koppel. Okay, Will Koppel. So Will this year, he's a backup linebacker for us. He's a really physical kid. He's got a great skill set, catches the ball well, does that, but Will will strike you. But Will's been a backup. And when Sam Hutton got hurt, Will stepped up, and Will played a couple of games for us when Sam was out with that shoulder. And that's not Will's natural position. So he had to go over and play another position, and man, he did a great job for us. And so we were really proud of him, and glad to get to mention him tonight. Another one.
I got to meet his uncle at the volleyball game the other night. Yeah. And that was
great
fun.
family, great family.
I think he's got a twin sister that might have been cheering. One of the couples was over there cheering.
Okay, I need to meet the rest of the couple.
Provide some information. Yeah, the uncle was very nice.
So we've got another young man, Chris Velasquez, and Chris is a junior. He's on our JV black team, and the coaches, especially the O-line coaches, just rave about him. Hard worker, gets in every scout huddle every day to help make our varsity better. He's one of those kids that really wants to be, he really wants to be a good football player and uses every rep and every minute of every practice to get that way. So Chris Velasquez is one of those great kids. And then lastly, I'm going to mention Kevin Headley. And Kevin Headley is inside right now, and he's got a birthday party going on.
Yeah.
But Kevin is he's kind of a self-proclaimed Lake Highlands biggest fan.
Okay.
I mean, he's
got a jersey on when I've seen him. Yeah.
Wears a jersey. He's got an old leather jacket. He's got. I mean, he rides this. I'm not sure what it is. It's like a Vespa, but he's got it decked out in Lake Highlands. I mean, he's a real deal. And so Headley shows up at all the games. Love having him. And he's here tonight. So great to have Kevin Headley.
He's in fact, we'll put the camera on him to celebrate him on his birthday. I think this is a
They're trying to get me fat before we do this.
milestone birthday, and boy, had a great group in there celebrating. Kevin's birthday tonight. So what a great fan. Love seeing you on the sideline. I hope it's been a, did you bring us a cupcake?
They're bringing them out right now.
Are you going to bring out some cupcakes?
That's too much for me to take back home, so y'all help yourself.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, look at these showing up.
Look at there.
Oh, that's from Lake Highlands. Yeah.
Cupcakes for Kevin Headley's 50th birthday.
50th.
And happy
Whoa,
birthday to
you've
you,
seen
buddy.
some things.
Ask
Yeah.
him how long he's been on the sideline.
Oh, okay. Kevin Headley, we're curious. how many
September of
years-
'94.
September of 1990.
No, sorry, '95. Coach
Okay.
Gaden's first full year as a head coach.
That was okay. Wow. Coach Gaden, you've been down there on the sideline for almost all those games.
28 years, ever since he started coaching.
Yeah, yeah.
And God bless him because he brought me back.
Yeah, well, that's great, and it's pretty exciting. You've seen some. Who's your favorite player over all those years?
Too many.
Too
They're
many.
all great.
Anybody? Okay, yeah. I don't know.
I don't favoritism this school.
Yeah, you love them all. Yeah. Well, happy birthday. I mean, this podcast is
As I've
here.
been saying this year, my parents are gone. My sister was never here.
Uh-huh.
This is family.
Oh, the Lake Highlands family.
Dr. Iden hit the nail on the head years ago when he was principal and said Lake Highlands is more than just a community. It's a family.
Yeah,
They look out for one another, and I look out for them.
yeah. Well, happy.
I don't know where I would be without them,
Yeah.
and that's the truth. Coach can tell you I sound like I joke around, but when it comes to this, no sir.
Yeah, very important. Well, hey, happy birthday. Also, unsung award winner. So, I don't know what you get for that. More cupcakes, perhaps. But congratulations.
Headley,
Yeah.
congratulations,
Way to
buddy.
go, Kevin.
Hey, we'll see you on Friday night, okay?
They're working on my.
I've already got him there.
We'll get it worked out.
He'll be there.
All right.
Good work,
We'll
buddy.
go get after at the Gopher Bowl. And by the way, we have a sponsor for the Unsung Hero Award, sponsored by Crispin Pfeiffer. You see those signs all over the place. Been in business for 22 years, specializing in custom homes. You got the in-house cabinet shop. You love. I mean, that. You get things done a lot quicker with the in-house cabinet shop, and then does homes in Lake Highlands, Lakewood, Preston Hollow, Midway Hollow. Coach, you ever been over there?
I have not.
University Park and Cedar Creek Lake, where I came from. Yeah, down in Kaufman County, and you end up at
I
Cedar
need to
Creek.
call Crispin. I would like one of those Cedar Creek Lake properties.
Yeah. They married
Talk to him about that.
Sarah, who was one of my great friends at Baylor, and they just have an incredible family and have kids that have come through Lake Highlands and great thing. You would recognize him, big old huge gray beard. Got a great looking beard. But he kind of sounds gruff, but he's the nicest guy. So anyway, he is sponsoring the Unsung Hero Award. So very exciting.
Crispin Pfeiffer.
Crispin Pfeiffer, yeah.
Glad to have him on board. That's awesome.
Okay, there's a silent P involved. Yeah, the Pfeiffer, yeah. So glad to have the Pfeiffer family, and that is exciting. Now, I wanted to look at our history. By the way, I didn't get your take on. I kind of wanted on South Grand Prairie, like overall, as you prepare for this, how different in your mind is you'll now face them. I'm sure there's some good things about that. They obviously faced you in the past, so they may know some of your tendencies as well. What does this team stand out that is that much different maybe from these other teams you played in the
Well, I
playoffs,
think,
these South Grand Prairie teams?
They're different, but they're still very good. And the thing is, when you start looking at these matchups, we're different than we were last year or the year before that. And so when you play a team, 3 years in a row, they're looking at probably the same thing. What as they try to gauge what kind of Lake Highlands football team this is. And I think philosophically, offensively, we're different than we have been, and so they are as well. They run the ball better than they did last year. We think they throw the football better than they did last year. I think from a defensive standpoint, they're like Corey said, they're fast and they're physical and they fly around. And when you look at their schedule, and I think people will, when they see this thing posted in the bracket, they're going to look at it and they're going to say, okay, well, South Grand Prairie's 5-5, so they must not be very good. Well, those first 5 ball games, they lost by less than a score, and they were against really good opponents. And you go back and watch the video, and they've done it the right way as well. They had a tough schedule. They went and fought through that schedule, and he's got his team climbing each week, and they're getting better and better. So, it's a really good football team. We were talking to our kids about it today. They're good, and what, so are we. And this is going to be so much fun, and that's what this is all about. When you go play a playoff football game in Region 1 in the Metroplex, man, you're going to have a war. And we think this is what it's going to be. It's going to be a 4-quarter ball game, and whoever executes the best and whoever plays the fastest, at the end of the day, that team is going to be the team that wins. And so we're excited about it. It's going to be a lot of fun. I think it'll be a lot of fun for the fans.
Yeah.
It's going to be some really good football.
All right, and how can fans, we need a huge, over at the Gopher Bowl, need a huge crowd.
Yes.
Lake Highlands can
Yes.
travel. We saw it at the playoff game the other night, saw it at Highland Park earlier this season. Huge crowd over there. Needs to be a big crowd. I was surfing around the Grand Prairie site, and I was having issues, but that's sort of the ordinary for me. How do people? What's the best way to get the playoff tickets?
We have posted the link on the Wildcat Club website. I believe we have emails going out within the community. But if you'll go to the Wildcat Club website, there should be a link on there where you can go order those tickets. You can also go to the Grand Prairie ISD page and go to athletics, and they should have the tickets for sale on there as well. It is, and I don't have my notes with me right now, I think it's $6 for adults, $4 for students, and one important thing is this is a cash only, this is a card only venue, so they do not take cash.
Okay.
So everybody needs to be aware of that, prepared for that as you go in. If you want to go buy some nachos or something, you're going to need a credit card.
Okay, see, that's the opposite of what we've kind of conditioned ourselves with over the years, but that's okay. We'll manage that. Wouldn't it be nice to see Frito at a playoff game?
Boy, it would.
Wouldn't it be
It
to
would.
see him be supportive of this program? It would be wonderful to get him out there, and
Well,
certainly.
Berkner plays Friday too. I wonder.
Ooh.
He's
No.
got to be torn.
No, Allen's kind of in his blood right now. But
Okay.
yeah, I think he was cheering for us against Allen last year, even though Allen is a big thing for him. Some historical stuff on Lake Highlands. They've never played South Grand Prairie in the regular season, despite both schools opening in the 60s and being only 21 miles apart. That's weird. And the current matchup in the playoffs that's the whole series, 1-1. And then a little information. Glenn Gant, our historian, digs up all this. Lake Highlands now 15th straight postseason run, going back to 2009, and it's second year for the Warriors under LeBon Delay. Well, it sounds almost like a Louisiana guy or something. Former defense coordinator at the school, and he went back there after being at Lamar, and was the head coach for the Vikings, where Eddie Peach was all those years.
Yes.
So anyway, some good stuff there. Non-district, they went 0-4, and as you said, one-score games: Mansfield, Timberview, Coppell, Mansfield, and Rockwall. Those are not easy games. And then they opened district with Arlington Martin, and then went on a 5-game winning streak. So you're right. And then Glenn also has a Jeffrey Chaucer quote in here. I don't think I'm going to get into all that. But we appreciate Glenn, and I think you enjoyed the hot sauce that the Gant family,
I did.
His mother-in-law,
I sent you a picture. It was dinner one night. One of those late nights. That might have been
chips
after
and
the
salsa?
podcast. Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah, it's really good. Very good.
Okay, is there anything else? Was there any offensive or defensive player of the week? Did we do that, or is there anybody else you wanted to say? Or
Well,
you think we're
I think we're good on that.
Yeah.
The big thing, the big takeaway from Irving was that we were able to get so many players in, and again, it blesses me that we're able to get those seniors that don't always get in. Man, they got to go out there and they got to play. They got to get sweaty and dirty, and they played great. They made great tackles. I think Coach Pascuzzi put some numbers. Malik Martelli, who doesn't typically play defense for us, he had 2 tackles and a QB pressure. Joaquin Johnson, 2 tackles, QB pressure. Zach Glover, one of our linebackers, 5 tackles, 2 solos. Jadamian Edens had 7 tackles and two solos. Carter King, Carter had 6 tackles. Colin Keaton, one of our unsung heroes.
Yeah.
Colin Keaton had 3 tackles.
Oh, you can't
from
be
the
unsung
safety
anymore
position.
if you have 3 tackles.
I know.
Yeah.
Demonte Scott.
You have to strip it of that.
DeMonte Scott had 2 tackles as well. And then on the offensive side of the ball, we talked about Bird. Bird had a pretty good night running the football. I think he had 50 yards rushing. He had 6. He had a reception for 6 yards. And then Sambo Maya Kapanga. Remember we talked about Sambo?
Oh yeah, love Sambo.
He had a catch, his first catch of his entire career in a game, and he got 2 yards on it. So the sideline went nuts. It erupted. Sambo had a big catch. And man, we are certainly proud of him.
That is nice. Sambo, congratulations.
Yep.
Man, that's fun to hear some of those names we've had all season, and it's been a lot of fun. We're going to do it again next week as we're looking forward to the next game. And again, we won't talk about who that might be, but we won't jinx anything, but it's going to be a great week. Thank you. This is fun, and thanks to Taco Joint, and what a great venue, and happy birthday, Kevin Headley. Great job by Frito Nation and Mark Frito Friedman, and of course the assistant coaches. I mean, to have Paz and Corey on the scene, both very media-friendly guys.
They were good. They did good.
We're not shy. Sometimes you have to kind of get people over here, and they ran to the stage and produced it a big way. There's a guy named Steven hanging around here too, who's a great friend of ours as well. All right, it is the Boneyard Podcast, and we will see you at the Gopher Bowl on Friday. Good night from the Taco Joint in Lake Highlands, Texas.